Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be taking a look back at Season 13 of Destiny since the new season is upon us. Honestly, I really enjoyed Season 13. It was very fun and one of the funnest seasons I think I've ever played in Destiny. Not that I've played many of them, but it is definitely a highlight. So let's just start off with what happens at the beginning. We see our usual season cutscene with some narration. Pretty interesting. Lord Saladin is speaking about how he's kind of angry at the Guardians and things that are currently going on in the Vanguard, and talking about how he has just sat around and done nothing, and he's regretting it now, and now it's time for him to take action, which is very interesting. Lord Saladin is a very interesting character. And then we move into our season intro cutscene, where this new Cabal leader, Keitel, and Zavala are speaking, and they're talking about a proposed alliance against the Hive and the darkness that is coming. And Keitel says, you can join my group. You can be a part of this if you bow and pledge allegiance to me. And Zavala, being the amazing person he is, says no in his amazingly deep voice. And from that point on, and for seemingly the rest of the season, we are now enemies with the Cabal, which brings us to the new seasonal mission, Battlegrounds. Originally, only having one on Nessus and one on Europa, Battlegrounds are a three-man kind of mini-strike, but with triple the amount of enemies that a regular strike would have. It is very hectic, it is non-stop action, and it is some of the most fun I've had in Destiny. Those missions were amazing and so much fun to just play through over and over and over again. And then they added one on the Cosmodrome, which was very cool because the Cabal have never been on the Cosmodrome. So it was a cool change of scenery, but also same scenery, different enemy. And then there was a final battleground on Nessus. A second one, this time with Vex as some of the enemies throughout, and another Scion trying to take control of the Vex network, just like the Insight Terminus strike. All of them are very fun. I played through them all until I completed the seasonal objectives after 5 or 6 weeks, and then I stopped playing the Battlegrounds. And I didn't even realize that I had stopped playing them until about a week ago. And I was thinking to myself, wow, I have not played a Battleground in a while. Yesterday, I actually hopped into one because I had accidentally dismantled a piece of gear and I needed some hammer charges to focus an engram to get that gear back. So I went into a Battleground. And I kind of wish I had gone into Battlegrounds again earlier because there was new dialogue in them talking about certain events and things that had happened after the story for the season had concluded, and I just didn't know that. So that's on me. I guess I need to play the seasonal activity more even after the story is done. But speaking of hammer charges and umbral engrams, the Helm is a new area that was introduced that is kind of a mini base. It looks to be the helm of a giant ship, and in there is the prismatic recaster, which allows you to, much like a few seasons ago, get engrams and kind of decode them to your liking. You can just decrypt them as normal if you wish to get random loot pool. Well, select gear from the loot pool, but still it's random from that pool. Or you can focus them using legendary shards and something called hammer charges, which you get from doing Battlegrounds missions, and that will allow you to choose whether you want more specific loot. It still is a chance, but it allows you to narrow it down a lot more, and it kind of makes it nicer if you're trying to grind for a really good roll on certain weapons or armor pieces. The War Table is how you interacted with things for the season. You were able to grab seasonal bounties and get upgrades for your hammer to allow you to do more stuff, more Battlegrounds missions for longer without having to recharge. Bounties that gave you a nice dose of XP, and if you did 8 of them in a week, much like some other vendors that exist in the worlds of Destiny, you get some nice gear. We would also go to the War Table each week for new story content in which either holograms of Saladin or other characters would speak to us, or Osiris himself would be standing there at the War Table with Crow transmatting it as well, and we would speak to the both of them, and it moved the plot along. It was very interesting, and I liked how they implemented it all. And I really like the idea of the table having a hologram in it. That way we can see and speak to characters more than just having written dialogue that we have to read ourselves. The story moved along when a new strike called Proving Grounds was introduced. After we have battled Keitel's lieutenants across these battleground missions, we are finally going to prove ourselves and going to fight the Cabal champion. If we win, we will work together without being conscripted into her war fleet. And if we lose, we get conscripted into her war fleet. So very high stakes considering how Zavala did not want to be a part of her fleet. But as all things go in Destiny, you being the god killer guardian you are, we win in a very cool but slightly underwhelming boss fight. I was expecting it to be a little bit more difficult, but I suppose that is saved for the Nightfall difficulties. But we win. A new cutscene plays, the end outro cutscene for this season. Keitel and Zavala are there together and are about to basically sign a treaty, make the truce possible, when an assassin tries to kill Zavala. And Crow had been appointed to Zavala's bodyguard at this time, wearing a mask because he and Osiris did not want Zavala to see the face of Uldren Sov, the man who killed Cade. Crow, being the new, very selfless, kind-hearted guardian that he is, jumps in front of Zavala, injuring and breaking his mask in the process, protecting Zavala, while Keitel's bodyguards, I guess, are able to completely destroy the assassin. And then Keitel, like, breaks his back. It was pretty cool, not gonna lie. But Zavala is able to stand back up and pick up Uldren, help him up, well, pick up Crow, help him up, look into his eyes, and Zavala accepted him. And it was honestly really cool. I mean, it's Zavala. He's gonna see the good in people. He's not the type to hold a grudge like that. But it was still really cool that this kind of tension that had been building throughout the season of, man, what if Zavala finds out it's Uldren Sov? Zavala doesn't care. There's a new guardian. It doesn't matter. He lost his memories. He has no recollection of what he did. He's essentially a different person with the same face. So it really doesn't matter. An awesome story. I'm very excited to see what they do for Season 14. I hope the story is at least as good as this, if not tops it, because this was amazing. It was very good. Some extra little things that had happened during this season before we wrap up. There was a new exotic mission called Presage, where you go to this abandoned ship out in the Tangled Shore where a guardian had sent a distress signal, and there's some form of infection throughout the ship, and the Scorn are there, which was cool. It was nice to have a Scorn mission, even though the Scorn are very annoying. And there's quite a bit of lore and story behind that whole encounter. That whole mission kept updating each week. That would be its own 15-minute video. There's not enough time to include that in here, but it was a very interesting story, and that is how you got the new exotic, the Dead Man's Tale. An exotic scout rifle in the primary slot. Looks super cool. Very nice. And to cap off the season, And to kick off the summer, the Guardian Games are back in the tower, the second annual Guardian Games. This time, with no rigging of the games, intentional or otherwise. Well, the rigging was intentional last season, but it wasn't meant in a bad way. Bungie tried, and this year, Bungie also tried. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I thought it was enjoyable, it was fun, it was a little different change of pace. It was kind of do what you've been doing in Destiny, but that's Destiny. A lot of people seem to get upset when something comes around that says, hey, do the stuff you regularly like to do and get a little bit of extra loot. Everyone's like, wow, that's not fun. But they continue to do that regular stuff when the event doesn't happen. So, who knows? Very interesting. The Guardian Games are over. The Hunters have won. And now we prepare for the upcoming Endless Night of Season 14. That is all a recap of the 13th season of The Chosen. I probably missed something, but that's the basics of what have happened this past season. I'm very excited for the future, and I am very excited for the Witch Queen beginning of next year. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and you will hear me in the next one. There, see? Look, I did it. I have a better outro. That's not the outro. I'm gonna think of something better. But for now, that works. Thank you guys for watching. Take care.